All right. Good afternoon, Monty. Let's dive right in with the first question of the day, which comes from Bruce Cooper, Channel 12, followed by Kellen Olson, Arizona Sports. Go ahead, Bruce.
Thanks, DC. Hey, Coach, how you doing? Another day, huh? No doubt. Hey, Coach, I know earlier in your Zooms you talked about Cam Johnson, how he looked like he's in his second year given the break. I want to see if you can expound on that and tell me what you're seeing as he continues to get ready for this new restart.
In respect to Cam, there's a confidence and he's more familiar with all of the terms, and the NBA grind is something that, he had to deal with on the fly. He at Flagstaff last year, he was thrusted right into the starting lineup in camp because Kelly and McHale were out. And so right away he's playing with Book, he's playing with Ricky, and a lot of information was thrown at him because he was on the first team. And then, he shows that he can play, and he's playing minutes, and he just had a lot of stuff coming at him. And it's hard to process. And you typically, most rookies need that first summer to process all of the information, how to eat, travel, all of that stuff. And these 4 months away from it all, I think, has been an off season for him. And you can see it on his body. I don't know how much muscle he's added. I don't want to fabricate that. But he's put some muscle on. He understands the workload. He and Dario, no matter how hard we go, after every practice, they go get their shooting in and get their one-on-one play in. And he's just got a confidence about him that's a bit different. And not afraid to show his emotions. He just looks like a guy that is going to step right in any role that we put him in, and he's going to be fine.
And Kellen Olson, Arizona Sports, is next on standby. Dwayne Rankine, Arizona Republic. Kellen?
Hey, Coach. A lot of this week and the next couple weeks is just going to be about adjusting to the environment and getting used to everything in the bubble. Do you think that there is going to be a distinct advantage for teams that have adapted when we get to games, or when the basketball comes, is it just going to be basketball at the end of the day?
I think you have to leave some room for both of those theories. This is new for everybody. There's not many times in your life where you leave your NBA life, where you leave your family for this long. And so emotionally, having the stamina to deal with that at the same time, turning the page somewhat and just playing ball. And I think once we play ball and we get to the gym and everybody starts competing, it'll be basketball. But when you when you finish the game and FaceTime is your mode of connecting with your family, that's a bit, it's a bit different. And so I think about the servicemen and women and what they do for months and sometimes years at a time. That's the thing that I think about. My granddad and my cousins and uncles who've served, whether it was Vietnam or somewhere else, man, they did it for a long, long time. And so it's not that deep or bad as far as leaving your family, but it is a bit different for NBA guys. So I think they're both, things that we have to consider as coaches. And I've told our guys, I understand, and I want them to know their feelings are important and worthy of bringing up if they need to talk about it.
Okay, next up is Dwayne Rankine, Arizona Republic. Waiting in the wings will be Mark McClune, Channel 3, Channel 5. Go ahead, Dwayne.
Thanks, DC. Mon, this is a two-part deal. One, you just obviously talked about Johnson. I wanted to ask about Jerome. What kind of role is he playing right now, or you're trying to get him to get into as far as just basically a training camp? And then second, when you just look at Johnson and Jerome's season, no summer league, draft day trades, injuries, and you could go on and on. How Can you even put into words what those two have experienced this year?
I mean, not one word for sure. It's just been, an introduction to what the NBA is like, from trades to injuries to, playing a lot of minutes, playing in the G League, dealing with travel. Like that's what NBA guys deal with, and I think it's good for them to deal with that, all that they've dealt with in their first year, because it allows them more information to process when they do go home in their off seasons. And like I said, they've had close to 4 months to deal with all that. And, those two guys are guys that James identified because we felt like they were the kinds of players and people that could deal with it the right way, wouldn't complain, would attack it. And, Ty he's a leader. He's been on a national championship team. He understands the obstacles that come with a season. And so I don't think it set those guys back. I think it was experiences and information for them to allow them to grow, and they have.
Mark McClune, Channel 3-5 is up. Gina Mizell, you are next. Go ahead,
Hey,
Mark.
thanks, guys. Thanks, Monty, for the time today. Hey, just looking back at the way the team started the season and the way the team had kind of finished, went over Milwaukee and seemed to be playing so much better and healthy as well. How do you kind of describe the emotions of having to go through that, where, you weren't at full strength, but also the lessons learned, and maybe, was there some genuine excitement there at the end of the season, getting everybody back and kind of feeling like you could peak a little bit?
Yeah, we felt like we were, I wouldn't say click, because you need your whole team to really figure out who you are, but we got enough guys back to establish somewhat of a rhythm. There was a pecking order that had happened on our team. Everybody knew Book was our best player. DA was, in and out with injuries, but we got to see his ability to be dynamic and dominant. And, Ricky brought everything together. And, we got a chance to gain a ton of information over the course of the season. And so you're right. The start of the year, we had this really good start, and then we had some injuries and not so good play in closing games. And then we somewhat finished that first part of the season with some really good wins against quality teams. The one win for me was the Utah win on the road. I thought that said a lot about our guys, to go into that place and play a game like that and win the way that we did. And then, finishing by beating a team like Milwaukee and playing a really good team in Portland. And, so all that stuff gave me a ton of excitement. I'll be really excited when we can get a full complement of players, because I feel like we can be really good.
Gina Mizell, you have the floor. The final two questions after that will come from Kellen Olson, Arizona Sports, and Dwayne Rankine, Arizona Republic. Go ahead, Gina.
Hey, Monty. I just wanted to follow up on what you said about Dario last night. And even before the season was suspended, you had talked about him changing his diet and kind of some things that he had done to help him be playing well when the season was suspended. So the work that he did during the off season, or this break, was that just a continuation of what you guys had kind of put in place, or did he even take it to another level on his own to make sure he was right coming back?
I think a bit of both. Coach Darko has been on Dario's rear end this whole season, trying to get him to dive into his nutrition and get his body in a better conditioned NBA type, so that he can do all the things that I know he can do. And then our sports science and strength guys have been really diligent about giving him a plan that he could follow. And over the break, he took it to another level. When I first saw him, when I was able to be around the guys again, you could see his body was different. shoulders, his back. He looks more defined. Or it could be the tight shirts that all these young guys like to wear. I'm not quite sure. But Dario looks really good. His conditioning is really, really ahead of where I thought he would be. And he's just put a lot of work in. So from nutrition, sticking to the plan, and his own competitive edge and heart allows for him to improve. And I'm looking forward to seeing it pay off here in Orlando.
Monty, the final two questions. Kellen Olson first, Dwayne Rankine second. Go ahead, Kellen.
Hey, Coach, to go back to Ty Jerome, for rookies, a lot of the time they have like so much overwhelming athleticism and playing with speed. You need to like slow them down. But for Ty, his game is more about reading the floor and capitalizing off that. So what did you see from him as a rookie who obviously he doesn't blow by guys. He has to read everything. And what was the progress that you saw him made in terms of just like floor recognition as a point guard?
Ty has an above average IQ for the game, and he has a thirst for knowledge. And so that stuck out to me. Sometimes guys don't know what questions to ask. Ty knew, the questions that he needed to ask. He was on top of 2-for-1s, and he was a guy in between possessions at a free throw line or a free throw possession, and we were about to get the ball. Most young guards forget to look over at me to get a play, and Ty was quick right away. As soon as the guy was dribbling to shoot a free throw, Ty would look to me and want to play. And that's something that most young guards can't remember. They're thinking about what happened on the last play, or if they missed a shot, or where do ants do their taxes. They're thinking about stuff that's just different. And he knew the questions to ask, and that's something that a lot of young guards can't do.
The final question goes to Dwayne Rankine. Go ahead, Dwayne.
Just to follow up with Kellen's question about Ty, how has he looked in Orlando?
Good.
All right, that concludes today. Thank you much, Coach.
No, he's been great, man. He's you like that? I hadn't messed with Dwayne, so I had to throw that in there. He's been good, man. He's been in the gym working on his body. That's something that he knows he has to improve. The speed of the game, the physicality of the game. A lot of guards tried to pressure him a lot last year in the backcourt, and so he's, I know it's been something that's on his mind, is working on his body, his conditioning, and the speed, so that he can initiate offense and get better. But he's looked good.
All right, thank you, Monty, for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Oh.
All right, we got Ty Jerome here.
Ready to go.
All right, good afternoon, Ty. We're going to just jump right into the questions. We'll start that off with Kellen Olson, Arizona Sports, followed by Dwayne Rankine, Arizona Republic. Kellen, go ahead.
Hey, Ty, what have you been working on during the quarantine, and how has this kind of been like a refresh for you with the season, especially with the road that you had, inconsistent playing time, the injury at the start of the year, and so on?
Yeah, definitely a refresh. I think the biggest thing is making sure my body's right. I think I missed the first 6 weeks of the season, came back, had a good stretch, hurt my heel, missed 2 more weeks. So just making sure my body's right is the biggest thing for me. And that's what I worked on all quarantine, lifting 6 days a week, ankle work, hip work, core work. So making sure my body's right was huge for me. And obviously just shooting, playing with guys like Book and being on the court with Ricky at times and playing off DA. I got to be able to knock down shots at a super high clip. So I'm always trying to become an even better shooter.
Okay, next question comes from Dwayne Rankine, Arizona Republic. Bruce Cooper is on deck. Go ahead, Dwayne.
Thanks, DC. Ty, just a two-parter. One, what'd you do during the quarantine? Did you go home? Did you spend all your time in Phoenix? And then two, what kind of role do you see yourself playing for the team in Orlando?
One, I was in right when quarantine started, I went to Virginia like 2 weeks after our game was canceled because I had a gym out there. So I went down there with DeAndre Hunter, and we just competed pretty much every day. We had our trainer down there, played one-on-one. 6 days a week, shot, lifted 6 days a week. So we just got after it. So having a guy like that to compete against, it elevates your game to another level. You know, seeing a guy like that is a big time defender and a great offensive player. Playing ones with him every day is definitely help my game. And two, you know, that's a question for coach. You know, whatever role I get, I just want to help the team win as much as possible.
All right, Bruce Cooper, Channel 12 is next, followed by Gina Mizell. Go ahead, Bruce.
Thanks, DC. Hey, Ty, thanks for joining us. And I'm going to switch away from specifics about you and the team for the moment and ask you this. You know, the snitch hotline, if you will, where players can call in anonymously and report other players who are violating safety protocols relative to the bubble. Are you in favor of it? Not in favor of it? Have you used it? Would you use it? Just your overall thoughts relative to that.
To be honest, I don't even know where it is. I haven't used it. I'm not thinking about using it. Just minding my business out here. Just trying to get better every day with our guys. You know what I mean? Our guys are doing the right thing. So, I mean, we're not too worried about other teams and all that.
Okay, final question comes from Gina Mizell. Go ahead, Gina.
Hey, Ty, I remember you saying at the beginning of the season when you were out with the ankle injury how you used to watch a lot of Ricky Rubio film just to sort of get used to the system and to kind of view that. I'm just curious, what's your film study been like during this quarantine time, and maybe how has that helped you develop in addition to all the stuff you were doing on the floor and getting your body right and that type of thing?
To be honest, now I've just been watching full games, watching our full games, watching, you know, the old Steve Nash full games. You know, you pick up little things of just watching basketball. I learned that. I picked up so many little things. Obviously, playing is the best experience, but just when I missed those first, 6 weeks and then got hurt again, missed 2 more weeks, you pick up so many little things and you're right there and you're around these guys who've been playing at such a high level for so long. So I've been trying to watch more full games. That's been helpful for me.
Thank you very much, Ty, for your time.
All right, guys, have a good day.
You too.
Cam, come on now.
Just sit down in my seat. Yep. Your mic's live. Let's do 3 questions.
Oh, man.
All right, Cameron. The first question comes from Kellen Olson, Arizona Sports, followed by Dwayne Rankine, Arizona Republic. Go ahead, Kellen.
What's up, Cam? Good to see you. Monty mentioned a couple weeks ago when he saw you in the Madhouse, he was kind of blown away by the way you looked physically. What was the process for you like over quarantine? And muscle watch, what's the deal with weight you've been putting on and getting stronger?
In the beginning of quarantine, there was a lot of lifting, just focusing on my body, trying to get stronger, and then kind of taking care of my joints, taking care of my shoulder, taking care of my hips, and then eating better, eating well, focusing on eating, more protein and all that. So I probably put on, I'm sorry, there's a truck moving in the background here. So I probably put on like 10-ish, 12-ish pounds. And when I got back to Arizona, just kind of maintained that. And then as, we kind of heard the season was starting back up, then I started getting back in the gym more, getting shots up and focusing back on scale. But the beginning of quarantine was definitely mostly lifting.
Okay, next question comes from Dwayne Rankine, Arizona Republic, followed by Evan Sidery, Locked on Suns. Go ahead, Dwayne.
Thank you. Cam, obviously you played a role for this team and contributed, and then as the season ended, put on pause, you actually was out. How, even though this is an odd way of getting to this point, how charged up were you to, hey, I got another opportunity to help this team?
When I found out I was going to be out for a little bit, it was definitely really frustrating. And it came right after a game, and boom, just the next day they told me I had to be out for a little bit. So the fact that, after that I get a chance to finish out the season with these guys is definitely really special to me. And so I was excited when we had the opportunity to come back and play these games here.
Okay, next question comes from Evan Sidery, Locked On Suns.
Yeah, Cam, just wanted to get your thoughts on what the bubble experience has been like so far. You've been there for over a week now. What's it like out there?
I think it's good. I'm happy that I just get to be with my guys back on the court instead of, just being in a lot of one-on-one atmospheres, and then being like super cautious, going around Phoenix and getting our food. So just the fact that we're back playing again, man, I'm really appreciative of it, and I'm happy to be here.
Final question goes to Bruce Cooper, Channel 12. Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, two-part question here for you, Cam. One, Coach talked about the break has you back essentially in your second season. It looks like your second season. You picked up so much, info and knowledge from the first part of the season before the lockdown. And then second, I want to get your thoughts on that. I guess they're calling it the snitch hotline, where you guys can report players who violate. You like your overall thoughts on that?
First thing, I think is just all that time to just reflect, grow, watch film, and figure out kind of, where you need to grow. The season, it throws a lot at you in your rookie year, and you got to figure a lot out. So having that break and then coming back to finish it is really beneficial. And I got to work on the things that I needed to work on, and then come back and try to finish out strong. In regards to the second question, I don't know anything about that. I seen the billboard, but I'm just going to say I don't know anything about that. So I don't know.
Thank you for joining us today,
I don't know
Cameron.
anybody who has, so.
Thanks, Cam.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.